What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazik, aka Unique Mazik, and we are talking about who wins again. So, just as you saw in the last episode of this, we talked about Deontay Wilder and Francis Ngannou. If you didn't see that, make sure you take a look at that video. The link to that is in the description. Also, if you have some matchups you want to hear me weigh in on, mostly the fantasy matchups or fights that haven't happened yet, make sure you drop those in the comment section. But without further ado, we're going to jump into who we're talking about this episode. And we're talking about Gervonta Davis versus Naoya Inoue. Now, there's an outside chance this fight could happen, but I'm going to lean towards probably not, because I don't think that Inoue could gain enough weight to, move up to catch Gervonta. I mean, maybe Gervonta is a lifetime 135er. That could be. Ultimately, like later in his career, he might end up going to 140. I don't know how much higher than he'll go than that because he is such a shorter guy. But with Inoue, I don't know. He's already moved up so much. So we don't know what the plausibility is there. But let's start breaking it down category by category. We're going to talk about power. Both of these guys have tremendous punching power. Gervonta is 30-0 with 28 knockouts in his career, and Inoue is 28-0 with 25 knockouts in his career. Both of those KO percentages are amazing. We're 89.29% for Inoue and 93.3% for Gervonta. Both of those KO percentages are unreal for any weight class. They're especially crazy when we're talking about some of the smaller weight classes. That said, Gervonta is naturally the bigger guy. So I think that he would have a power advantage if they were to fight. Now, Inoue is that special kind of fighter that brings up power from weight class to weight class. Every division he's fought at, he's had power. But would he have power all the way up at 135 fighting Gervonta? I don't know. That might even be a lot to ask him. Think about this. When Inoue just stopped TJ Doheny, he fought that fight at 122 pounds. We're talking about 13 more pounds. I would have to give the edge in power to Gervonta Davis. Now, of course, we're talking about head-to-head. So I think Gervonta in the ring with Inoue would be the harder puncher. Inside fighting. Gervonta is good almost everywhere, and so is Inoue. But I feel because Gervonta, for whatever reason, he's and I don't think that this guy and Gervonta are too similar, but in some ways, Gervonta sometimes uses his lack of height to his advantage, similar to the way that Pernell Whitaker used to use it, to be able to crouch lower, to get out of punching range, and to be able to really be effective on the inside. Gervonta is excellent at that. And I think it helps him in terms of inside fighting. Now, he doesn't wrestle a lot, but I think Inoue might be one of those guys, because of the size advantage, I think he would have a little bit of an edge there when it comes to inside fighting. So I'm going to give the edge to Gervonta there. Talk about chin. Now, I want to give this edge to Gervonta Davis because I don't know that I've ever really seen him stung. Now, I did see, he took some good shots in in a few of his fights. I've seen him take some shots. Most of the time, he doesn't take a lot of punishment. But he took some shots against Isaac Cruz. Isaac Cruz was a guy who was a little smallish as well. But I've seen Inoue go down. So we saw Luis Nery drop him, right? And that was significant. We saw Nonito Donaire land some tough punches on him that I thought had some effect. So I'm going to be honest. I got to give Gervonta the edge here when talking about chin as well, because I just literally haven't seen him take shots and be affected. Now, Inoue's a dog. He gets up. He's obviously finished and stopped guys after being hurt, after taking good shots. But I still have to get that edge to Gervonta. Now let's talk about speed. I'm going to call this one a push. And I'm almost leaning Gervonta here too, but I'm going to call this one a push. I think Inoue has underrated hand speed. I think he is a fantastic just overall boxer, period. And in terms of hand speed and foot speed, both of those guys are explosive. But I'm gonna call this one equal because I don't know that there's a big enough advantage on either side. But I'm gonna call this one equal. Let's talk about defense. This one is definitely in Gervonta's favor. Inoue is there to be hit. And I would say that if there would be an issue or something he'd have to avoid if he fought Gervonta, it would be not being as present to be hit, because he would be in the ring with the best puncher he's ever fought. And usually, Inoue is the best puncher in the ring. And I think that's part of the reason why he has that style. Now, I'm not saying he just has the worst defense ever, but he is there to be hit. I think we saw it with Luis Neri. We've seen it with Donaire. We've seen it with a few other fights. But he usually is just a tougher, more rugged, more skilled, more accurate fighter. So he usually gets it done. But against Gervonta, I think Gervonta has the edge in defense. Let's talk about pure boxing skill, boxing acumen, how well you put punches together, your movement in the ring, just your understanding of the sweet science. I'm going to be honest. I got to give this one to Inoue. I think that Inoue is more accurate with combinations. I think that when it comes to just pure boxing, setting things up with the jab and utilizing all the tools, I think as a pure puncher, utilizing all the tools, I think Inoue has a little bit of an edge there. Now, this is not to say Gervonta is not a great boxer. He clearly is an outstanding boxer. It took me a while to come around on Gervonta too, because for I would say maybe the first 20 fights or 22 fights of his career, I thought he was a little overrated. I am not at that place anymore. I realize who Gervonta Davis is, but I still think from a boxing skill standpoint, I would give the edge to Naoya Inoue. Last category, intangibles. Inoue has a aura, 100% about him. He has a confidence, and I don't know if it's real or not. I don't know if the language barrier with everyone outside of Japan kind of veils where he really is, but the dude is like, he carries himself like he is a villain in an action film or something. Like, it really, he has this crazy aura about him, and so I cannot deny that. But I want to say this about Gervonta. Gervonta Davis has one of the abilities that I consider to be the most rare ability for any boxer. He has the ability to adjust mid-fight. Most fighters in the world, if you have an excellent plan A for them, you will beat them that night. If you are able to win the early rounds, most fighters, you will beat them. Gervonta Davis is in a very small group of guys who not only can they adjust, they literally seemingly go into fights to read the first 2 to 3 rounds so that they can then make the adjustments. And then that is when they start to steamroll opponents. I think he has a extremely high in-ring IQ, and I would give the intangibles edge to Gervonta Davis. I wonder what happens if Gervonta and Inoue are in the ring and Inoue runs into a situation where it's like, whoa, I really don't think I have the edge, the aura advantage that I have over everybody else against this guy. So, as you can tell, there was quite a few categories that I went with Gervonta Davis with the advantage. So it's clear, who do I think wins this fight? Gervonta Davis wins this fight, and I think he would win it by KO. I think he would stop Inoue somewhere around the 6th or the 7th round. He's downloaded the data for the first 2 to 3 rounds, and around about the middle of the 3rd round, he is starting to close. He's realized whether or not he can take the shots, how well he can take them, and now he is starting to close distance. And Inoue is the type of fighter, he's not going to go anywhere. They're going to be there. And I don't think you can fight Gervonta Davis that way, and I think he wins that fight by KO. You guys let me know, like I said, in the comment section if there's another matchup you'd like to hear me talk about. That's all we got for today. As always, I appreciate you. God bless.